Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I figured as a Mopar authority, at least in my mind, I would do a quick video regarding Tim Kuniskis rejoining the Chrysler family as the CEO of Ram Trucks. So Christine Fuel, the CEO of Ram and Chrysler, was not relegated, but moved to just Chrysler and the North American part of Fiat, or Alfa Romeo, I believe. So that's great news for us. Great news. Tim Kuniskis is basically a savior of the Chrysler Corporation here in the last, 15, 20 years. You look at him, you look at Rolf Jowls, and you look at a few other key contributors, Matt McAleer. You look at these key contributors here, and you can point the finger and say, these guys changed the direction of the Chrysler Corporation for the better. Especially Rolf, and especially Tim. Rolf being the SRT division leader for a while. So with that being said, I got to get this off my chest. You're not going to see any sort of comeback of the V8. They're not going to bring anything back in the short term. But that doesn't mean they won't bring a Hemi back in the long term. That may become an option. Whether it's a high production, smaller liter, smaller displacement V8, or whether they bring back something like the TRX example of the Hellcat motor. We don't know, but I can almost put money on it that they will bring back some sort of V8 in the future, whether it be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. If Kuniskis stays with the brand, he is going to make sure that a V8 will be back in the lineup. So let's be clear, and this is just from somebody on the outside of the Chrysler Corporation, just an enthusiast. I don't think Carlos Tavares and Tim Kuniskis got along. I think that's pretty safe to say. I don't think Tim liked the direction of where Chrysler was going as a company, where Stellantis was going as a company, and he felt like it was time to leave. And the sad part about it is that, well, you hear some of these professional journalists say that Hellcats kind of ran their course. Hellcats and Scat Packs, or I should say the 6.2 liter supercharged engine and the 6.4 liter Hemi, those engines, those vehicles would have been able to still sell even though the platforms were old. If they just would have updated the platforms a little bit, those vehicles still would have sold. People don't care in my part of the country here in Wisconsin. We don't really care about efficiency per se, and I'm driving my Chevy Volt right now, so I do care about efficiency. But mind you, we have an AMG car, 3 SRTs, and then a Durango RT Tow and Go. So we definitely have vehicles that aren't efficient, and that's probably why we have this Volt. But anyway, I digress. People in our part of the country want a vehicle that sounds really good, is fairly fast, and that is a sort of a pseudo luxury cruiser. And that's what the Charger, the 300, the Challenger provided to us. Most of the people who own those vehicles aren't looking to carve up a canyon, and most of those people don't live in roads where you can actually carve up a canyon or some back roads. I know in Wisconsin here, there's barely any roads that I can drive and actually enjoy the car for what it is. It's mostly straight line driving. And that's where you want your high horsepower vehicles to gain some speed on. I hate to say it like that, but that's what people who want those vehicles are going to buy them for, is straight line speed. And while they do handle good, and there was noted updates that needed to be made, I think that killing that V8, and whether it was to do with government regulation or company direction, whatever it was, I'm not blaming anybody. it was just something that needed to be done. Now, with that being said, you look at Ford, you look at GM, you look at these brands that are still providing a V8. That doesn't mean that Stellantis couldn't have provided us a V8 engine, whether it was a top trim or a special release, something like that. They still could have provided us with a V8 engine. So it's kind of a bummer to see those go away and basically have the Wrangler 392 and the Durango be the only remnants of the V8, of the Hemi V8 left. And the problem is, when you build your brand identity on an engine for 20, 30 years and you go away from it cold turkey, especially in your Ram trucks, especially in your Jeeps and your Dodges, then it really starts to be kind of a detriment to your company when you go away from it. You're killing your brand off, essentially, and you have to, after years of hard work, you have to basically revision your company into something else. And I think Tim can really help not only Ram, but help Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram, or Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge succeed. I think his visions in the company, he led that company for a long time, and all the other brands followed, basically. I mean, they act in unison, essentially. And to see him back at the company really brings me hope that we can have some sort of a cool V8 again, whether it's a low displacement V8, a 4-liter, or even a lower displacement V8 with twin turbos, or turbocharging, or supercharging again, whatever it's going to be. It brings me hope that that will come back again someday, and maybe someday when prices are depreciated on that vehicle, I'll be able to purchase it. That's another thing that is a topic for a whole another video, is the prices of these vehicles are just astronomical now. There's no reason why they need to be, and they're just way too, the trucks are way too expensive, the Jeeps are way too expensive. I mean, I'm an average person. I'm not going to go out and buy one of those vehicles simply because it's just way too expensive. But again, staying on the topic here, Kuniskis is going to bring that fire back to Ram, and that's what they need. Yes, the RHO is great, and yes, that 3-liter high output engine is awesome in the Ram trucks, but having driven both those engines, and the high output is extremely fast. I drove a Limited with the high output. That is almost as fast as my Jeep SRT, honestly. It's screaming. And it does provide a high level of performance, but it's missing one thing. It's missing sound, and it's missing what customers really want, and that's kind of the heart and soul of the brand. Any sort of sound or low-end torque, anything like that. We don't want turbo lag either. But I didn't notice too much turbo lag in that engine. It was great. There was a little bit, but you're just missing kind of, it's such a quiet engine now, which they ultimately need to change that, and I'm sure they will in the future. But having him back in the helm will create a standard again at Chrysler that he created back in the days of SRT and the Hellcat era. So I'm very happy that he is back, and I'm happy that we're possibly in a direction where the company can succeed. So with that being said, guys, like and subscribe. I want to hear your comments below. Hoping this video gets some sort of traction. So we will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.